How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Sports by Dustin here, and in today's video, we're going to dive into how to find value playing PrizePicks during the summertime with no NFL and no NBA to save us with a ton of value. We are going to be focused on MLB, WNBA, and esports, and I'll show you guys exactly how to find this good value and keep you profitable this summer. Now, we all know PrizePicks is a set payout platform that typically doesn't change your payouts, whether you take an over or an under on any specific player props, and they even let you find some correlation in different sports like maybe MLB or even some esports that they don't dock your payouts for, which is super clutch when you are line comparing and finding value on PrizePicks by comparing sportsbooks odds and projections back to PrizePicks. That's exactly what you're going to do to gain an edge against PrizePicks and stay profitable this summer playing these more niche sports like MLB, esports, and WNBA. But of course, you are going to need a tool like Daily Grind Fantasy that is going to help you do this. It helps you compare sportsbooks lines and odds directly back to PrizePicks to find the best possible value. Now, everybody should know, but if you don't, sportsbooks all set their own odds and projections independently. So that's why we're able to find where there is an outlier in the sportsbook market and bet it there comparing to the rest of the market, right? However, it's the same thing with these different DFS apps in esports. So since these esports are not all over these major sportsbooks with projections, kills, odds, etc., we are not able to use sportsbooks to our advantage in this niche market. But we can compare DFS apps to PrizePicks and find where PrizePicks is off from those other different DFS apps, because like sportsbooks, they all set their own projections independently as well. Check out this play for Turtle on PrizePicks and let me explain why this is good value. You can see that PrizePicks has this projected at 28.5 kills. Well, if we scan the DFS app market, we see there are two other DFS apps that have projections for this, and we have Underdog here that has it set to 27.5, which is 1 kill off of PrizePicks. But if we look over here at Hot Streak, a pretty sharp platform when it comes to these esports lines, they have it 2 kills off of PrizePicks, 2 kills lower that is, and they are heavily juicing the odds to the under of this lower projection at minus 154 odds. So safe to say this is a very good play on PrizePicks, where it is the highest in the market and certainly off from the establishing market that we have here between Underdog and Hot Streak that are giving us these lower lines, and more so agreeing that this should be set lower than 28.5 kills. And now take a look at Kaiser, and if you're not convinced that PrizePicks is the one that is off here, then I don't know what to tell you after explaining this. As you can see here, it's set to 28.5 on PrizePicks, but this time we have 3 different data points, 3 different DFS apps that all have this set lower than 28.5. You see that Sleeper and Underdog both have this set to 27.5. Now, Underdog doesn't change their payout, so minus 122 is their even line. However, Sleeper, that does change their odds depending on sharp players playing overs or unders on these specific player props. You can see that they are favoring the under at minus 130 odds of this lower projection of 27.5. And once again, Hot Streak 2 kills off from Kaiser there on PrizePicks at 28.5. They have it 26.5 and heavily favoring the under of 26.5 at minus 163 odds. So PrizePicks is certainly the outlier compared to the establishing market between these 3 different DFS apps. Now, another way to gain an edge in esports this summer is by finding correlation, as I mentioned earlier, that is not going to cause a payout shift. I've been finding a lot of this in Valorant. And correlation in Valorant looks like this: taking 2 players that are going up against each other, so on opposing teams, to go over or to go under. If you are taking a player on each team that are facing each other to go over, you are rooting on a lot of rounds, so a close game. The more rounds, the more opportunities for kills, the more likely they are going to go over kills if they are in close games. However, if you are taking 2 unders on opposing teams, 1 player for each team, you are rooting on a blowout. Less rounds equals less opportunities for kills, which means they would be more likely to go under their kill projection together. Now, as you guys can see, I've locked in a correlated pair here in the same game, taking both of their overs. But I did use Daily Grind Fantasy to at least find where I could get the best projections, whether I should be taking an over or an under, by comparing to at least Underdog here, as they were the only other app that currently has projections for Valorant. But see here, we found Vinny, that is at 30 on PrizePicks, 30.5 on Underdog, so 0.5 higher. And then also Brinks, that is 0.5 lower on PrizePicks as well. So taking both of their overs by just comparing to Underdog is going to give us a slight edge there if Underdog is correct in their projection. But no matter what, correlating them together by taking both the overs is a huge edge playing it on PrizePicks, where as you guys can see, they are not adjusting my payout. So all I would do from there is play it in a profitable slip type. So even a 3-man would be fine, or a 4-man power as well. So we'll go to the actual optimizer and find a play that is good value. So to get rid of some push potential, let's go with Didier Fuentes, and we can play Didier Fuentes from the MLB over here in this slip type, and I'll show you that it's not going to cause a payout shift with this slip. So Didier Fuentes will take over 3.5 strikeouts, and we are getting a 6x payout for this slip type, so we have some positive correlation and a good value MLB play here in this slip. Overall, a fine slip in plus EV here on PrizePicks due to the correlation and value. So just make sure when you're playing esports this summer, you're getting positive correlation, or you are finding plays that are outliers on PrizePicks with their projection compared to the rest of the DFS app market, and you are going to be in good shape playing esports. Now, before I do move over to WNBA, and we'll do MLB last, if you guys did want to sign up for Daily Grind Fantasy, you guys can use my code DustinDGF50, and you will get 25% off your very first month. Now, in WNBA, you're going to compare sportsbooks, lines, and odds back to where PrizePicks is at with their projection. Of course, we know that in these set payout platforms, we are getting set odds for these plays. So, for instance, in a 6-man flex on PrizePicks, which is the most profitable slip type, you are always getting minus 119 odds for each individual leg. So if we can find plays that are heavily favored on major sportsbooks like FanDuel and DraftKings that are like minus 160, minus 150, something of that nature, that is a really, really good play when you consider you are getting it at odds of minus 119 on PrizePicks. Now let's talk through some WNBA value and show you what you should be playing. And in fact, let's go through my thought process if I loaded up the optimizer, and these were the 2 plays I seen at the very top. Well, as you can see, the optimizer is recommending for us to take Arike Ogunbowale over 29 points, rebounds, and assists on PrizePicks when comparing to FanDuel that has this 0.5 higher and favoring the over of that 0.5 higher number at minus 130 odds. Well, we only have 1 data point there. Now, FanDuel is sharp in the WNBA, I would say, but if I can get a play that has maybe 4 more data points and is still really, really good value, I would probably trust that play a little bit more than just going off of 1 data point in FanDuel. And if we look right underneath that play, we see Arike Ogunbowale over 4.5 assists, has 5 data points to back this up. So we see that based off of these 5 different sportsbooks, they are all heavily favoring the over of 4.5 assists at minus 141 odds. Now remember, this is a good play because on PrizePicks in those 6-man flexes, we're getting this at minus 119 odds. Now I wouldn't hate on anybody that chose to play the very top play because it technically is better value and they're only trusting 1 data point, because I do that myself sometimes. But I always say the more data points, the better. So you can just go with this and just have a little bit more confidence that you have multiple more books backing you up on this play. And now here's another play off the optimizer. We have Monique Billings under 6.5 rebounds, but why is this good value? Well, if we scan the sportsbook market, we see that we have 7 different data points that are all pretty heavily favoring the under of 6.5 rebounds for this player prop. Well, getting this on PrizePicks at minus 119 and giving us a 55.65% chance to hit based off of these major sportsbooks is amazing value, so you'd want to lock this in. And now, before I move on to showing you guys how to find value in the MLB, I did want to let you guys know that you can actually take all of these strategies in finding value that I'm talking about right now in these different sports and combine them into one and still get a plus EV slip that is good value. For instance here, I correlated 2 Valorant plays and then found good value in Aaron Judge over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, and good value in Paige Beckers in the WNBA to go over 6.5 assists, and played them in 1 slip together, which was still overall plus EV, although we did end up missing this slip by just 2 kills to one of these players. So it was correlated, and it gave me a really good chance to hit if the games were close, which they were. It just didn't end up working out this time, but that is fine. As long as I continue to get good value like this, continue to find correlation, over the long term, I am going to be profitable playing PrizePicks. And now, finding value in the MLB is very similar to the WNBA. Once again, we're using Daily Grind Fantasy, and you can see Clay Holmes at the very top here. Why is this good value on PrizePicks? Well, it's listed at 4 on PrizePicks, but 4.5 on all these other major sportsbooks. So this is off by 0.5 Ks, which if you know anything about the MLB, even 0.5 Ks moves the needle a lot. So playing this over on PrizePicks gives you a little bit of an edge when comparing to the books. And even just below that, Didier Fuentes to go over 3.5 strikeouts is good value as well. Now, not because the projection is off on PrizePicks when comparing to the books, but the odds that we are getting it at, as I mentioned earlier, minus 119 on PrizePicks compared to what the books are offering over here. You can see there's 9-10 different data points that all are heavily favoring the over of 3.5 strikeouts at average odds across the books at about minus 137 odds. So getting this on PrizePicks is amazing value. Now, you might be this deep into the video and asking yourself, why are we playing plays just based off the odds we are getting it at? How does that even make sense? Well, these sportsbooks like FanDuel and DraftKings have multi-million-dollar algorithms and models that set these projections and odds for them, as well as take into consideration sharp money from sharp bettors and move their odds and lines around based off of that information. But these algorithms and models take everything into consideration before they set the lines and odds. I mean, last 10 game logs, matchups, how this guy does against this pitcher, projected lineups, projected weather, I mean everything. So these are as sharp as possible, so it's important that we use them as data points and weigh them when making our picks. And we are just lucky enough that a tool like this exists that pulls all of this information into one place at one time and then does the math on the back end to find the best value plays and just simply give them to us. And it's just so simple to use. I mean, how easier does it get than green means good value, yellow means there's good value, but there's a little bit of risk attached with it, and so on, all the way down to red, which I don't necessarily recommend playing. But as long as you are getting 6 plays in your PrizePicks slip that are above 54.2+%, then you are going to lock in a plus EV slip every single time. And another way to ensure that you are getting the best possible value in building out slips, just like I showed you, is by using this other tool that Daily Grind Fantasy has, known as the AI Slip Generator. It actually uses AI line comparing technology and correlation calculations to do exactly what I've been telling you guys, and builds out full slips for you where you don't have to do any of the hard work. Just simply come down here, reveal the slip, and then click Bet on PrizePicks, and it will load up that slip on PrizePicks, where you're able to enter it in just seconds. Let me show you how it works. So I just click on this button, and it's going to take a second to load up because PrizePicks is a little slow. Wow, they were actually a lot faster than they normally are. But as you can see here, 6 picks, all from the AI Slip Generator, by using the exact methods I just talked about that are in our slip, and we're able to just simply click submit lineup and lock in good value, beating all of the bumps. Beating the bumps is huge if you want to profit during the summer playing PrizePicks, because if there is a profitable bet or a bet that has an edge against PrizePicks, they want to either bump or remove this prop as fast as possible. Using AI to build out these slips and cut out you, the middleman, from any decision making, it allows us to get these in as fast as possible and beat those bumps. It even builds out slips for other different DFS apps, including Underdog and Better Picks as well. All you would have to do is just simply manually enter in these plays, but you still don't have to do any of the middleman work by finding what plays to play. You just simply lock these ones in. It maybe takes 30 seconds, still allowing you to beat the bumps, but this tool is extremely profitable. As you guys can see, it is up over 2,400 units since it launched, almost 2,500 units since it launched on 8/18 of 2023, and it just continues to climb. So if you guys do want to check this tool out as well, the link's still in the description. You can still get 25% off with code DustinDGF50 if you guys are interested. So there it is. That's exactly how you're going to be profitable this summer playing PrizePicks without these major sports like NFL and NBA to save us. That's going to be it for this video. However, if you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we post sports betting content like this every single week.